Hello and welcome to Brushstrokes by Kim. I'm Kimberly Ferguson. Today I am using some other water-based mediums. I'm using gouache and also gansai tambi paints on black watercolor paper. Black watercolor paper, I don't really use it very often. I haven't used it very often, but now that I figured out a way to use them, make something that I like. I really like the black watercolor paper. This watercolor paper is 100% cotton because that's the best quality you can use for watercolor. So I'm using gouache here because gouache is a water-based medium that is more opaque than traditional watercolor. Gouache is made from the same ingredients as watercolor, which is pigment and gum arabic, but the gouache also has white pigment to make it more opaque. Historically, they were used to make poster art, like the vintage posters. Many of them were hand painted, before there was mass commercial printing like we have today. So these colors will show up better on this black watercolor paper because at first when I was experimenting with the black watercolor paper, I was using white opaque watercolor, which also works. But I love colors, so I wanted to try something out with different colors. I knew that the transparent watercolor would not show up as vividly as the gouache, so I decided to use gouache. So here I am adding in layers and layers of the gouache paint. And here I've also blended some of the darker shades with the white so that they stand out more on the black paper. One thing that, I like gouache, but I prefer transparent watercolor for the type of art that I make. Gouache actually dries really fast because the components of the gouache make it dry really fast. And I do a lot of work with wet washes, which requires a medium that doesn't dry down as fast. And also, the cotton paper also helps with that. When you use paper that is not 100% cotton, it could be 30% or it doesn't matter. But if it's like a mixture of cotton and cellulose, the paper tends to absorb the water and dry a lot quicker. This is 100% cotton paper. The gouache still dries down much faster than traditional watercolor would, but for this type of painting, I don't mind it. It gives me a vivid, bright result. So here, yes, I've brought out my gansai tambi paints, it's basically a paint that was developed in Japan that is water-based, but it is slightly opaque. The binder is gum arabic, and also sometimes it's an animal glue or a sweetener, and that's what makes it different from the Western watercolors. The flat, wide pans were designed for large calligraphy brushes, and yes, they're slightly opaque. So I decided to use them here as well. But in this particular painting, I used the gold color. I have the set that has a few metallic colors in there. So I'm using the gold to give it like I don't know, I just love the sparkle and the interest that adding a bit of gold can do to a painting. Yeah, I've added the gold, blending it in. I mean, I just love making these. Every one of them reminds me of like the planets or looking at the sky, but like with all these unnatural colors. Okay, so now I've decided to add in some extra details since I've filled in the entire page. I just wanted to add some more. I like making different sort of like flows, like doing the wet on wet. The gouache is not as flowy as the traditional watercolor, but I'm still able to get some blending, which I really like. And yeah, so I was looking at it and I decided that I actually like how it looks the other way. And I just, I do that sometimes. So I'll make a painting, an abstract painting, and just look at it from all angles and decide how exactly do I want it to be. Yes, so if you like the content that I've created so far and would like to see more of what I can do, you can like and subscribe and watch more of my videos. Yeah, so I've just peeled back the tape and, I had to clean up a little bit of the edges because I guess I wasn't as careful as I thought I was. But yeah, that's the finished painting. For more of my art, you can visit my website, kimberlyferguson.net, or my Instagram, @brushstrokes by Kim. Thanks for watching.